Every city in this global world has this same problem of how to deal with the wish for everyone to have a home of their own, a house of their own, and at the same time saving your green areas by putting all these houses together in the city. So we have to pile up in the cities, and we are forced to invent these new types of housing.
Borneo Sporenburg refers to two adjacent wharves in Amsterdam's Eastern Docklands area. After a revitalization in the 1990s, it has become a shining example of urban redevelopment.
Well, the Eastern Docklands was an old harbor area. From the 1890s till the 1930s it was constructed. And it became obsolete because the piers are too narrow and the water is not deep enough, and the harbor moved west. And then the city council decided that they wanted to transform it into a kind of city neighborhood.
It had two lives. So for 150 years it was docklands with warehouses and vessels, cranes, cargo from ship to train. And then for 20 years this was an island for squatting. So there were a lot of hippies and circus and all these kind of anarchistic culture.
And it was the obvious area to redevelop because of its proximity to the center. So a whole series of plans have been developed for single parts of this Eastern Dockland, the whole waterfront as a complete project. And it took about 15 years to really get started.
Veemarkt, Intraport-Brugge, KNSM, Java, and Borneo Sporenburg make up the Eastern Docklands redevelopment that has created 17,000 waterside homes. But waterside wasn't always part of the plan.
I remember going here, standing on a kind of bridge that was over the railway yard, and I thought, well, we should never fill in these harbors because they were very beautiful. And they give a kind of special atmosphere, and it's great like it is, let's try to not change it. Because this whole ruimtelijkheid is very spacey, this very big amounts of water, long lines of 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers even. And then there's these narrow strips of land. It was very, very good.
The planning authorities approached the entire scheme in a way that they said, yeah, this is all docklands. We have to renovate it and to renew it. And we insisted not to touch the quays, to keep them like they were done in the 19th century. With granite, with wood, lovely jetties and constructions. Please keep the sensibility of the docklands intact.
Well, the development of the harbour area of these docklands is interesting because no one wanted to invest. At that time, no one wanted to invest in a riverside, which was, I mean, if you now think of it, it's one of the best locations of Amsterdam. But it took a while before, I think, developers and also politicians and people who are actually into urban planning saw the qualities of these areas.
The first developments, built on KNSM and Java, were high-rise apartments, creating a concern that families would not want to live in them.
And the developers, after they did 2 of the islands in the Eastern Docklands, they saw that the market was so bad for apartments that they explained to the mayor, we won't do the next plan with flats. It's too risky, we don't sell them, it doesn't work.
For some reason, the Dutch people don't like high-rise to live in. They like to look at it, they like to go to New York, but they don't want to live in it. So high-rise is here, it's not really an option, but they like dense areas.
Well, people are, of course, interesting beings. They want to be in something that is united, that is a whole, that feels like something that you can belong to. At the same time, you want to underline your own identity, you want to find your own front door, you want to be connected to something that is really your own. So, well, we drew the conclusion that people with some money, they don't want to raise their children in an apartment building in Holland. So we said, well, we have 2 more islands to go. some 2,500 units, so we cannot have a neighborhood that completely consists of couples and singles and so on. So there was very clearly formulated the goal that we would like to attract middle-income groups, families with children.
Urban design and landscape architectural firm West 8 was charged to conceive and plan for 2,500 dwellings on the Borneo-Sporenburg site. The real challenge was to make the dwellings low-rise.
When we did the scheme and experimented with models for the density, we figured out that low-rise could be done. It worked. Nevertheless, if you make a plan based on low-rise, high dense, you have strips of parcels. The plan looks not attractive. It looks like a container terminal.
Adrian